Okay, we are on. All right, guys, quick review. Okay, let's review from Monday. So we talked about the rise of the Ottoman Empire. We talked about this huge empire expanding across massive territories, 3 continents. So who can give me some reasons of how that happened? How did they expand?
They have their government.
Strong government, great.
Strong military, and then the trade route.
You're on fire. All right, so trade route, strong government, strong military. Great. Okay, and let's go over yesterday's topic briefly. We talked about the fall of Constantinople, that Byzantine Empire, right? That capital, that beautiful ancient Christian city that fell to the Ottoman Empire. So who can tell me why the Ottoman Empire desired that location? Why did they want to take over that territory? Amir. Gold and silver, wealth. Awesome.
Easy target.
Easy target. People were leaving. It was becoming depopulated because of all the territories around it depleting. Brody.
Like send a message.
Yes, send a message of power, a show of strength. Awesome. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Suleiman the Magnificent. So we are fast forwarding now 100 years after the fall of Constantinople. Okay, so we're going forward in time a century. So the Ottoman Empire is going to be ruled under Suleiman the Magnificent. Okay, so this is going to be the height of the Ottoman Empire's power. And this is when we saw that map on Monday, this is when we saw that they controlled 3 continents. That was under his rule, Suleiman the Magnificent. He is going to control these vast territories. Okay? So at the height of its power, the Ottoman Empire under Suleiman from 1520 to 1566 is going to control a large territory in Europe, Africa, and Asia. So I want you guys to look at this map. I want you to do a little do now. Make a prediction. How do you think that Suleiman was able to gain control of these large territories across 3 continents? How is he going to do it? We talked yesterday, we talked about strong military, strong government. We talked about trade routes. He's gaining power. But there's going to be another factor under Suleiman that is really going to contribute to how he's going to get all of this land. Okay, it's going to take some skill. So I want you guys to think about that. Just write down your prediction. There's really no right or wrong answer. We'll go over it at the end. Okay, it's all going to tie together. Okay, everybody has their prediction? Okay. So Suleiman the Magnificent, he is the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire from 1520 to 1566. Remember the Sultan, that is like the ultimate word. The people, like he is their ruler. He is the religious and political authority, okay? They bow down to him. So it's going to reach its height. It is going to become a world power under his rule. His rule represented one of the most orderly periods of Ottoman history. This is very important. I want you guys to circle this word. What do you think of when you hear the word orderly?
Kind of like order or something like this.
An order, okay. Structure, strength, strict, yes. Strict, structured. You could say organized, right? So let's write the word organized up here, because this is really going to be a huge factor in today's lesson. Okay, so his rule is going to represent one of the most orderly periods of Ottoman history. So while Suleiman was known as the Magnificent in the West, he's also going to be known as the lawgiver to his own people. He's known as the lawgiver because how he's going to rule his empire and expand it. So these are the ways how, if you look at these bullets, he's going to enforce Sharia law. a sacred Islamic law. That's a very strict law. They still have it today in Saudi Arabia. He's going to create another legal code called Canons, which covered criminal law, land tenure, and taxation that's going to last for 300 years. So there's going to be two different forms of law, okay? One is more like business, land, criminal, taxation. The other is going to be like a strict set of laws for people's behavior, okay? So he's also going to act against corrupt officials, especially those who overtax the population. So people are gonna love this. This guy is standing up for like the little man, okay? He's standing up for people that are being overtaxed. He's standing up to corruption. What does that remind you of? Standing up to corruption, if you think back to our previous unit with religious and political authority. Can anyone tell me? What comes to mind? The Reformation, great. So the Protestant Reformation, very similar, where this guy is rising up, he's in power, he's acting against corrupt officials, he's removing leaders that are corrupt, and he's in charge now, and he's making fair and just rules, okay? Another thing he's going to do, he's going to protect Jewish subjects from persecution, okay? That would be religious tolerance, right? He's letting people live amongst each other. Yeah, go for it. So he's protecting Jewish subjects. And what religion is the Ottoman Empire? Can anyone tell me? Muslim. Good, Teddy. So he's protecting, as a Muslim, he's protecting Jewish subjects from persecution. So people are going to love this, okay? He's a new leader. He's also going to create schools for Muslim boys to learn grammar, philosophy, and the sciences. This is very similar to the Renaissance, where all of these universities were opening up, and all these scholars had a place to go and share their ideas and share their knowledge. So he's creating schools for Muslim boys to also, in a way, have their own Renaissance and their own golden age. He's also going to build strong fortresses to defend the places that he's conquering, and he's adorning the city, that means like covering it, with mosques, bridges, aqueducts, and other public works. So he's creating this beautiful architecture, all right, in the Ottoman Empire. He is responsible for building these things. He's defending what he has conquered. And he's going to transform the previously Christian Byzantine city of Constantinople. Remember, we talked about that yesterday, how it was toppled by the Ottoman Empire. He's going to transform it into Istanbul. Does anyone know where that is? Yeah. Turkey, great. Has anyone ever been there? You've been there? That's awesome. No way. I didn't know you were Turkish. That's incredible. Okay, so it is the Islamic center. He's going to make it the Islamic center of the Ottoman Empire. It's going to be the main center. Okay, it is symbolic to power. So I want you guys to take a few minutes and look at these questions. Question 1, according to the excerpt above, how did Suleiman gain, consolidate? Consolidate means like hold on to. How is he going to hold on to and maintain power? And you're going to look at these bullets here. And I want you to pick the ones that have to do with like protection and defense, okay? So for example, like creating schools for Muslim boys, yes, that's going to help like education and thriving, but is that going to help him maintain power? You're going to want to find the ones in here that have to do with maintaining power, okay? And why do you think Suleiman may have chosen these methods? What is his reasoning? Okay, and then how are his methods similar to or different from other empires and civilizations that you've studied in the past? All right, so I'll give you guys a few minutes. Yeah. Sure.
No, yeah, yeah. To keep his, I would say, empire.
Okay, so let's start with question 1. According to the excerpt above, how did Suleiman gain, consolidate, hold on to, right, and maintain power? Kyle.
He enforced the Shahir laws,
Yep.
acted against corrupt officials, and built strong fortresses.
Amazing, great. So he's going to enforce Sharia law. He's going to build fortresses to protect the land that he has conquered. Fortresses to protect. And he's going to act against corruption. Great job, Kyle. Okay, so we talked about how he has this huge territory. So what does he need to do to maintain it? Why do you think he would have chosen these methods to defend? Colleen?
To keep his empire organized and like together.
Amazing. He wants to keep his empire organized and together. So if you're in control of 3 huge territories that are expanding across 3 continents, bless you, you need organization, you need structure, right? You can't just let everything just, be crazy. So for organization, structure, and let's say military strength. Right? If he keeps everybody in order, he keeps everything organized, people will not be able to conquer him. Yeah, let's come back. Okay. So question 3, how are Suleiman's methods similar to or different from other empires and civilizations that we've studied? Teddy.
He followed religion and for power, like the show.
Yes.
And he also revolted against higher power, like the Renaissance.
Amazing. Okay, the Renaissance, Protestant Reformation. What do you got?
I was gonna say, like a lot of empires change the city of Constantinople.
Yes. And also, it's like a golden age, right? It's very similar to, if you think about like when you guys studied, I think it was Unit 3, the Roman Empire, and like the fall of the Roman Empire, but there was a golden age during that in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. So it's very similar to this, okay? So let's say similar to Protestant Reformation, right? He's questioning authority. And then the Renaissance, it's like a golden age. And all of this is going to contribute to prolonging the empire. These are the reasons of why these empires last centuries and centuries, right? We keep talking about like these, like we're fast forwarding in time, fast forward 150 years, fast forward 200 years. These people are still in power, and these are the things that are going to keep it in power. Structure, organization, strong military, strong centralized government, okay? So contribute to continuity of empires. All right. Everybody has that? Let me know. Yeah. All right, so let's go backwards now. Now that we have the tools to answer this question for the do now, How do you think Suleiman is going to be able to gain control of such big territories? Kyle.
Enforce laws.
He's going to enforce laws. Great. Anyone else? You know what? Let's add, so enforce laws and organization and structure. What did you guys predict? Religious tolerance, great. That's a perfect example. Let's add that, religious tolerance. Great job. Okay. See how it all comes together. Okay. So, under Suleiman, there are going to be communities called millets. Okay, a millet is going to be an Ottoman Turkish term for a legally protected religious minority like Jewish people or Christians. So yes, it was a Muslim empire, but they had all different minorities. It was a mixed bag, okay? And they had religious tolerance, okay? Suleiman was able to have this empire where he let different religions prosper, okay? But they had conditions. So each mullet was under the supervision of a leader, most often a religious leader who reported directly to the Ottoman Sultan. Okay, so these people had a leader where they had to report to as a religious leader, probably to make sure that they didn't defer from the empire. Like, yes, say this guy was a Jew or a Christian, he had to report to his religious leader to keep himself in check, that he wasn't going against the Ottoman Empire and the Muslims. Okay? The millets were able to set their own laws and collect and distribute their own taxes. This is very important, guys. Okay? The Sultan is giving these guys the power, even though they're Christian and Jews, they're giving them the power to collect and distribute their own taxes and make their own rules. Why do you think the Sultan would let these guys do that if they're not the same religion as them? Why do you think that he's giving them this religious freedom? Teddy. Think about it.
Oh, so they follow him?
Yes, exactly. So they remain loyal and they follow him. Awesome. Okay? Oop. So why would the millets stay loyal?
They're being supervised.
Yep.
Freedom.
So they had religious freedom and could set their own laws. Great job, Teddy. Okay, and what are they? What are millets?
Ottoman Turkish term for legally protected religious.
Yes, legally protected religious minorities. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to go to Janissaries. Okay? So Suleiman, yes, they called him the Magnificent, but this kind of teeters on the edge of like sketchy to me. So the Janissaries, they are going to be an elite army of the Ottoman Empire until 1826. The Ottoman Empire is going to use Janissaries in all of its military conquests, such as the 1453 capture of Constantinople. Okay, this is really interesting. So the Janissaries are made up of young Christian boys. So the Ottoman Empire is essentially kidnapping these young Christian boys from their home, Suleiman. He's kidnapping these boys from a different religion, and he's turning them into soldiers. He's sending them to Muslim families, and he's turning them into soldiers to fight for his army, which is really insane if you think about it, because yesterday we covered the fall of Constantinople. So you basically have these Christian soldiers that are fighting against a Christian empire. like their own people, but they're being forced to. So it's pretty wild, okay? So the Janissaries are mostly made up of young Christian boys, and they owe complete loyalty to the Sultan and are required to follow strict rules such as celibacy and no marriage until they left active duty. Why do you think the Sultan would not want these guys to have children or families if they're serving in his army? Why do you think he's not letting them do any of that?
And they would be more willing to sacrifice themselves.
Yes, exactly. So that would translate into loyalty. Good, Brody. So he wants these soldiers to remain completely loyal. Because if you think about it, if you have a family, if you have a wife or a husband, who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to your family, or are you loyal to Babylon High School? What would you pick? Your family. So if he prohibits everybody from getting married and having children, that means that these people are going to focus solely on being his soldier, dying for him, complete and utter loyalty. Okay, so what are Janissaries? Who can tell me? Bella.
So the army of the Ottoman Empire made up of young Christian boys.
Yep, good job. Army of the Ottoman Empire. And then you also answered part 2. Who made up Janissaries? Young Christian boys. And what rules did they have? Who can tell me? Bella, you're on fire today.
You have to give complete loyalty and follow the strict rules and no marriage.
Yep, no marriage, celibacy, and loyalty. Okay, so now we're going to get to the Turkish letters. Okay, I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is very similar to Machiavelli and the Prince, the same concept. So Busbek was a writer and a diplomat. Remember, a diplomat is someone appointed as an official representative of a country. So they would send Colleen, say, to Turkey to represent the United States for us. That would be like a diplomat and ambassador, okay? Someone appointed as an official representative to a foreign country. So he is going to be named an ambassador to the Ottoman Empire during this golden age going on under the rule of Suleiman the Magnificent. He's going to be there from 1555 until 1562, serving as a diplomat. So when Busbek is sent to the Ottoman Empire, his task is to negotiate a border treaty with Suleiman over disputed territory. All right, he's fighting over territory in the Ottoman Empire. During his time in the Ottoman Empire, Busbek is going to write the Turkish letters, a collection of personal correspondence to his friend describing his observations about life in the Ottoman Empire. So Machiavelli did the same thing. Remember, in the last unit, he was this Florentine diplomat, and he represented the government, and he wrote about his time serving for the Florentine government, and he published the book, The Prince. So when Busbek returned from the Ottoman Empire, he readied his letters for publication. So he published it in 1589, and they are considered an example of travel literature and a form of creative nonfiction, where he writes about encounters with foreign places from his perspective. Okay, so just take a minute, answer this last question. What is the role of an ambassador, and why was Busbek sent to the Ottoman Empire? Why was he sent to talk to Suleiman? Okay, so who can tell me what is the role of an ambassador? Kyle.
Someone appointed as an official representative to a foreign country.
Yep, good job. Appointed to represent a foreign country. Great. Okay. And why was he sent there?
To negotiate a border treaty with Suleiman about disputed territory.
Okay. I know you have the right answer too. It's okay. Okay, so to negotiate a disputed territory. Good job, everybody. Negotiate a disputed territory in the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so I'm gonna play like a 5-6 minute YouTube video for you guys on Janissaries. I want you guys to really get a grasp on these Christian like young boys being taken from their home and sent into this army. Here it is.
For many centuries, the Ottoman Empire stretched far into 3 continents, ruling over people who spoke many languages and practiced a variety of faiths. Their most iconic warriors were the Janissaries. They formed the empire's elite infantry, as well as units of cavalry. Many also held positions as influential bureaucratic civil servants. The Janissaries are often credited with having an instrumental role in the empire's rise, as well as its decline. The formation of the Janissaries took place during the early days of the Ottoman Empire. Originally, they were a small bodyguard unit of archers, charged with protecting the Ottoman sultans. What may seem very strange at first glance, and possibly second as well, is that these early Janissaries were captured Christian slaves and prisoners of war who were pressed into service. The first of these were captured Byzantine soldiers, who were then supplemented by additional slaves captured on campaign, or purchased at slave markets chosen for their physical fitness. At this early stage in their development, the Ottoman Janissaries were by no means historically exceptional in their unit composition. Captured enemy combatants, foreign mercenaries, and slaves were often preferred as bodyguards by many ancient kings, pharaohs, Roman emperors, emirs, and caliphs. Throughout history, the most likely candidates to prematurely end the life of a sovereign were his family and the nobility, and those they had influence over. A foreign bodyguard, unfamiliar with the nuances of a local language, was far more unlikely to take part in palace intrigue, or care at all about the concerns of the common people. And as you might imagine, the prestige and quality of life in a royal bodyguard unit was quite high. Early Ottoman sultans were not content with this ancient and proven system, and sought to improve it. Because semi-autonomous beauty Turkic cavalry formed the backbone of early Ottoman armies. They were fantastic warriors, but not unquestioningly loyal to the Sultan. To centralize military power under his control, the Sultan needed a counterbalance to the traditional cavalry, and began to transform his bodyguard unit to accomplish this. with two goals in mind: to increase the total number of troops, making the small bodyguard unit an army, and two, increase the quality of the troops while increasing their number. To accomplish this, the system of recruitment was radically overhauled. Adult prisoners of war and slaves were gradually phased out of recruitment. Every 5 years, a representative of the Sultan traveled to the Balkans and collected a human tax. One child over the age of 8 out of every 40 Christian rural
One child
households
over
was
the
taken
age of
to be
8
raised by a
kidnapped.
Muslim family and
Raised by a
then be
Muslim
trained as a
family.
janissary. Households with only one son were exempt from this form of tax, or kidnapping, as well as all children from cities, who were viewed as too streetwise, insubordinate, and lazy. The potential janissary spent the first few years with his new family learning to read, write, and speak Turkish fluently, as well as Islamic law, cultural customs, and norms. After this was completed, the young man was taken to the capital city, where he underwent intensive physical and mental examination. Those with particular ability were set aside for specialized roles. All janissary cadets trained for 6 to 8 years in wrestling, weightlifting, horsemanship, and the use of all manner of weapons. The young cadets were expected to stay celibate during their many years of training. Those unable to meet the high standards of the janissary corps were removed. Once the cadet's training was complete, and he became a full janissary somewhere in his early 20s. A full course of indoctrination had been completed in solidifying
years for
loyalty to
this
the Sultan.
transformation
They
for the
referred to
soldiers.
him as father, and he to them as my sons. When the Sultan went to sleep each night, 50 to 100 janissaries did the same nearby on the floor. Although it is technically correct that they were slave soldiers and property of the Sultan, that stated alone may likely give the wrong impression. The social status of janissaries was far higher than that of other slaves, and even the vast majority of freeborn Ottoman subjects. They were well paid and had a generous pension upon retirement. Fine new clothes and uniforms were bought for them at least once a year. You cannot have the Sultan's sons looking shabby. Throughout Ottoman history, many janissaries occupied the highest positions in government, even that of Grand Vizier, which was second in power only to the Sultan. The janissaries' recruitment method, that was seen as kidnapping and a curse initially, became viewed by many as a blessing. Many parents, including Muslims, began paying bribes to recruiting officers to take their sons. Life as a janissary offered an opportunity for social advancement, and a chance that some money would trickle back home. As the empire grew, so did the ranks of the janissaries, which were transformed from a small bodyguard unit to a professional standing army. At the Battle of Varna in 1444, when most of the Ottoman army had routed, the janissaries stood their ground and turned defeat into victory, bringing the severed head of the Hungarian king to the Sultan. Less than a decade later, the ancient Roman capital of Constantinople was taken, where the janissaries carried out the decisive final assault on the city's walls. The janissaries had many more illustrious
Janissaries were
victories.
carrying out an
During the
assault
15th
on their
century,
own
the Ottoman
people,
army
basically.
arguably became the first in the world to widely adopt artillery and handheld firearms. And by the early 16th century, most janissaries were armed with arquebuses instead of bows. A major change came for them in 1594, when those born Muslims were officially allowed to join for the first time. This was primarily done to let the sons of janissaries join, and throughout the 17th century, the old system of procuring children from the Balkans was done away with, and the janissaries gradually moved closer to becoming a hereditary warrior elite. As their political power increased throughout the 18th and early 19th century, their military prowess declined. Sultans that tried to limit their influence were removed. In 1820s,
All right, we don't want to see the decline yet of the Ottoman Empire. So here you get a really good idea of the advanced government, the structure, the organization of the military, right? And then we talked about the benefit of the trade routes. So with Suleiman ruling the Ottoman Empire, you have to remember the empire is going to be at its height during this time. This is when it is going to be the most powerful and largest, when it's ruling Europe, Africa, and Asia. Okay, so I'm gonna end this with an exit ticket for you guys. I'm not gonna grade this. I just wanna know how you feel about this. The question is, do you think that the Sultan Suleiman was actually magnificent? I wanna know what you think, and I want you to provide me 3 specific examples from today's reading. Okay, judging from what we just watched, what we just read, how do you feel about this ruler? What do you think? Do you think that he should be named this? So just take the rest of the class period and let me know your thoughts. And I'll leave this up here too if you guys want to take a look at this for inspo. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. I just want examples of why you feel this way. Guys, when you're done, you can just throw it in this bin. I'll collect it. Here you go. Thank you. After you finish, you guys can use the last few minutes of the period to work on your homework, the questions that you can answer after today's topic. Thank you.